You.
I am so good. I'm so good. Yep. How are you, Ellen? Thank you for inviting me on, and I'm excited to talk today about
You are welcome.
whatever you
The,
want me to
I'm
talk about.
honored to have you on the broadcast. I have a lot of admiration for what you're doing, and so great that we're in the same real estate circles, and I'm learning so much from you. And I just felt it was paramount to share that with our listeners because there's so much that you're doing that could help so many people. And I just finished your book, and you guys should all get this, by the way. It's on Amazon and all places that sell good books, called Nailed It. And there's so many great learnings. And um, one of your taglines in the book is, construction touches all aspects of investing. And um, you are a contractor, you are a contractor. Just I guess start with your investing story because I didn't want to have anything to do with contracting. It's just overwhelming. But the reality is it does touch so much of what I've done as a newbie investor. So let's just back up and tell us about your story, and then maybe we can weave that into why it actually does touch every aspect of real estate investing. So
Sure. Thanks, Ellen. It really does touch every aspect of investing, whether you like it or not. At some point, you're going to have to deal with the contractor, and majority is male. If you're lucky enough, you get one of me or a few of the handful of women that are out there. My story just began in the Midwest. I grew up with a very blue collar family. My father was a plumber, one of six boys, the youngest. He uh, laid sewer pipes for the Chicago O'Hare Airport. And when the mafia wanted my grandfather to work for him in the distillery business. I don't know if you're, history buff, but then he moved to the suburbs. So that's kind of how I grew up, like that blue collar world. In college, I said, okay, I really want to go to college. No one ever went to college in my family. I moved to the West Coast because I thought everything was going to be sunshine and palm trees. And it was amazing. It is amazing. But the story doesn't end there. So I just got all the degrees, got all the certificates, did all that kind of stuff, got my master's, and then I was like, well, wait a second.
but it wasn't in contracting though.
No, it wasn't in contracting at all. It was
What was it in?
counseling. I got my master's in counseling, my undergraduate in social psychology. So there you have it, right?
Well,
Anybody.
that had to prep you for anything, right?
Exactly. While the guys are complaining about their wives or divorcing, I can say, keep working. You're doing good. I hear you. So,
Oh,
so
oh.
that was my beginning in terms of, a long time ago. But contracting started for me. I don't know what it was. It was easy for me. I felt comfortable and I liked the being outside, which you could relate to, Ellen, of course.
Mhm.
So much. And, so much. I loved it so much that I built two spec homes when I was in my late 20s, like 28, 29. And
What's a spec home for those of us who
okay,
don't know?
sure. It's a speculation build, is what it is. So you're buying raw land or a lot. The difference is that it's been graded and the utilities are already there. And then you're going to take out the construction loan on that, build a house, and then sell it based on what you think that neighborhood wants. And of course, you cooperate with the bank and the budget, and then you hopefully make a few bucks. And so it's similar to a flip, except there's no remodel piece. It's brand new build, brand new development. And oftentimes, people can lose their shirt, but I remember it sold for like $80,000 way back
In
when.
San Diego?
It was in the high desert, like Apple Valley area.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of myself. These guys that gave me the hard money loan. There were such a thing in the 80s, hard money loans. I was like, I didn't care. I was so excited. I went to them, I presented it to them, and they looked at me like I was like a Martian or something and said, okay, well, let's just see what you can do. So
What's
you
a
know,
hard money loan?
what's a hard money loan?
I mean, back then, I mean, you and I, but like just for, again, our listener, just not to interrupt, but like, is that just like, how's that versus a soft money loan? Like, what is that?
So you bring some kind of in terms of this project that I did, you bring some kind of a sketch or a blueprint or a drawing that you have to lenders, to private money lenders. They
Not a
are
bank.
not a bank at all, and they look at your credit, maybe, and they look at your passion and they say, okay, yes or no, yay or nay. High interest rate, I think it was like probably the same as what it is today, around 10, 11. And they do it based on you are going to repay this loan. Back then it was like, okay, we're going to come break your knees if you don't repay this loan.
Hard money loan.
Hard money, yeah, real hard money. So you had to really ramp yourself up and gear up for this thing. And I think when I came back and repaid them, they were shocked, absolutely shocked that I, got this project done in such a fast period of time. And that tends to be my signature. And that's the nature of hard money, because every day that you're on the, every day that you're at the job, you're like, okay, there's another $200, there's another $200 or 500 or whatever it is. And so I'm definitely the Energizer Bunny for sure.
I'm just laughing because you joined a fitness challenge with Nate in that group. And
Yeah.
like, I just thought, guess who's at the top of the list who's kicking everybody's ass? The Energizer Bunny.
Oh,
So,
that's funny. Yeah, yeah.
like,
I'm always up for a physical challenge,
yeah,
it's a
they
good.
don't know what hit them. So, yeah, that's good. The bar's up. So, all right. So you were in your 20s, like, and you built spec homes, and then did you give up the psych the other degree in the other field by then? And you're like, I can do this, or how did that?
Well, most people are right when they say you do need cash, you do need some kind of liquidity to be able to invest or build or anything, right? If you are the one owning it.
Right.
You can certainly do for other people. But at the time, I just absolutely fell in love with it. I didn't care. Back then, there was guys on drugs and everything, so I had to be super careful. But this project that I did, I had so much fun. And I think that's the key word there, fun. Sometimes the
Mm.
things that are easy for us tend to be more fun. And that's where I felt like I found home. And I'm just like, wait, what's going on? I'm super educated. Why am I attracted to this? And I just kind of found my skill set by default.
And it was in your bloodline. It was. It's like you
Yeah,
came home
yeah,
through the back door. That's interesting.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
shoveled pea gravel for my parents because every summer they built a house, a spec house, and then would sell it off. And so they were just a mom and pop, but I was very comfortable. I talk, I can do the old, 4-letter words just like everybody else. And it was not intimidating to me.
No.
I didn't have anybody telling me I couldn't do it. So why not?
So when did you decide to pivot solely to being a GC? What year was that?
So I got my general contractor's license in 1987, 100 years ago. And I was I took a weekend course. I knew all the terminology already because I was around it so much. And then I was in a room of 1,500 men in LA, and I took it and I was just like, wow, I passed. Cool. Most of the stuff that was really studying hard, if anybody's interested in getting their license, is the law. You have to know the law. And there were two segments, the trades is more of a language terminology. And as a GC, you just have to know who are the experts. Like as a general contractor, and talk about this for your audience, it's not that I know every single trade detail. It's that I'm an organizer. I pull in the expert plumber that he warranties the plumbing at the job site. I pull in a phenomenal electrician. Those safety trades are so important. And I think a lot of investors skip that part. Like, oh, I can just, hire a GC or hire somebody that says they know plumbing, but doesn't really know the codes and the safety. When someone has a license, it just puts them a category above. They take more responsibility.
Right.
And so that's how it started, and that's the difference between a general. It's a generalist, organizing, managing, doing all the way from the lending, the funding, the draws, the payments, the contracts, the legal, and then also managing people at the job site with boots on the ground. So that's kind of what a general contractor does. The different vendors, lumber, pipes, all of that stuff is part of a general contractor's knowledge base. And with time, you get more and more details and experience. So anyway,
I was reading
when I did those specs. So excited.
The statistics that's in your book of women in construction, and then women actually being a GC. I believe it was like 10%, something like that. 1 in 10.
I don't even think, no, it's more like 1 or 2%. I can't remember what I'd said in the book, but I think it's becoming more prevalent. It's more exciting. Women are seeing that there's opportunity there. And forever and ever and ever, men sort of like pushed you out like, oh no, that's not something you want to do, honey.
Right.
That's not something you want to do.
The story about you early in your days doing it, where a man is in shorts up above and hanging out, as they say. And
his whole ding dong was hanging out
his
there.
Ding dong. I had known the word ding dong since like Little Debbie cakes.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself too, but like you were unmessable. You just were like, so I love it. So I grew up in the only girl on the soccer team. I'm dating myself too. There were women and male culture at Nike, locker room, and they respect you for what you do. And, you get those tests, but like, it sounds like you unmessable, and it just was a non-issue, and you proved yourself with your work. Did you feel like the bar was higher for you as a woman because of the skepticism of you in that trade?
Absolutely. Every single time I'd go and meet a new tradesman or a vendor or especially the big equipment guys, they said, okay, where's your husband? Like, where's the dude? I'm like, I am the dude. And
that was one of your chapters, actually.
And I'm going to be paying you. Yeah, I'm going to be paying you. So you better be listening to me.
Yeah, so good.
So, and I don't think, Ellen, to be really honest, construction has the majority of men, but any other business where a woman is the leader, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I can talk a little bit about my experience, but what's key, I think, for your listeners is that anytime a woman is in a leadership position, there's challenging. And I'm not talking about just for men. Women challenge women too. And I think this whole shift of supporting women has really, really improved. Mm-hmm. But there's still, every time there's a woman leader, unless she's super confident, kind of like a Cody Sanchez, and comes off as really impressionable, there's a challenge. If you have a tiny bit of weakness, someone's going to find it. And
I agree.
Don't you believe, Ellen,
100%.
Women, they need to practice that sense of confidence, even if they don't feel it,
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah. Amen. I'm going to pivot to this quote you said just around empowerment, where you said, no one is going to save you except yourself in the book. So could you expand upon that and the champions that you found along the way? Yourself being probably the greatest champion of all, but I thought that was a really interesting quote.
Well, so when you start on something that you love, that's part of the beginning of the journey. Because if you love something strong enough, that's going to help you get through those difficult times. And I just, in a lot of ways, I never saw it as difficult. I would just keep asking questions, ask the inspectors, find the people who are on your side that want you to succeed. And I had one building inspector that he was such a feminist. I say that lightly. Like, I mean, he always wanted to see me succeed. He always said, look, if there's anybody giving you a hard time, let me know. If, he supported me. I ask questions. And I think this is so key. If you don't know everything, empower yourself and ask questions. Is that your dog?
Come on over. You can be part of the program.
Exactly. And I think it just gives, everywhere I go, I find gems and I find incredible people that want to help me. If you have a mindset like that, you're going to go really far.
Yeah.
And I just believe there's people out there that want to support me. And so I've always felt that way. And, I have run across, real jerks, of course, that want to take advantage, or, they think, I don't know what I'm talking about. So, you've got to throw it back at them. You've got to throw it back at them and say, okay, what if you were in my shoes, what would you do right now? I want to know what you think. And so that kind of deflates the focus on you if you don't know what you're talking about, or you're unsure or insecure, and put it back on them. She who asks the question has the power. And so when you do that, you kind of like, okay, I don't want to be in the limelight. You share with me. And often you get answers from these people that are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. To find the champion, what I mean is it could be in the Home Depot store. It could be a building inspector. It could be a lender that just absolutely thinks you're the tits up or whatever, but they're everywhere if you're looking for it. It truly is true.
And your approach, if I'm hearing you correctly, your approach, like, help me, like, understand, like, versus making them feel threatened.
I usually don't say, help me. I'll say, I'm curious about that. What do you think of that? Or I am wondering. Sometimes I will even say, if the person has a lot of clout, I'm curious about this. How would I do this? How would I handle this? Asking the questions, and then listen and let them tell you, because people like to talk, right, about themselves.
Sure do.
Especially men in construction. Let me tell you, in the book, I talk about mansplaining, and that's a pretty common word right now, right? But it's true. I think all of us want to be the expert in something, but in construction, generally men want to be, I'm large and in charge. So,
Yeah. So that leads to my next question. I call it Dan and the Dynamite wake up call story. Can you tell the story and how it basically, from that point on, if I read it correctly, you never look back in terms of earning the right to challenge and ask questions, and talk about that, and how a woman who's new to a value add, which we'll talk about, or new to construction, or in anything for that matter, should not be mansplained, and that they have the right to ask questions. I thought it was such a powerful lesson.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. I was building a Street of Dreams home, and I bought the lot with the intention of, it was a spec home, but it was one of 6 homes. And I was one woman with 5 other men building. I was selected. I think part of the marketing, I don't know if you know what Street of Dreams is. It's a marketing firm working for a developer. There were 72 lots, and the developer hired Street of Dreams. It doesn't really exist anymore. I think they're in Oregon. And then I built the spec house, and then you have hostesses. I mean, you're talking furniture, details, lingerie hanging in the living room, in the laundry room. And all those details. Plus we had to have a hostess, or a woman or man in each room, just guiding the 50 to 60 to 70,000 people that went through that home of mine. And I won first place, yay. But to tell that story, twofold, there's 2 things that happened during that time that really kind of allowed me to say, Dawn, why do you doubt yourself at all? One was, there was a petition that the other 5 men wanted me off of that group. And there was like a lot of conversational petition going on to get rid of me. And I mean, it's like, come on. At first I was like, whoa, what's happening? And then it's like, you bring it, baby, you bring it, because I'm going to win, you know? And so I think it allowed me to say, hey, you know what? People that push back, just because somebody pushes me doesn't mean they're right. And so it gave me a sense of challenge. Now, the dynamite story you were talking about was the developer had all of his lots graded, and he had a guy there that was fantastic, and he adored me. And he's a heavy equipment operator, great guy, always helping in any way he can to promote me. So he said, I said, you know, I forgot his name. Was it Bruce? Anyway, maybe
Dan?
I think I changed the name for the book.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he said, oh, Dawn, you know, there's rocks in this slope. If you want to get started and push that house that you have, you know, planned to build, let's do a quick dynamite over here. And I'm like, quick dynamite? What the hell? I've never done this before. And so, you know, he being the older guy, he was just like, yeah, no, it's no problem whatsoever. And I'm like, okay, you know, I've never done that.
Even though your gut was like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
What if I blow something up? I'm thinking of the Roadrunner episodes.
So am I, totally. When I read that, yeah.
So turns out that we didn't need to blow it up at all. I'm like, why didn't I challenge him? You know, we did blow the slope up and it helped, but it's like, wait a second. What the heck happened here? I didn't need to do that. It took out some of the slope to the next guy, the lot owner next door. It was just, I didn't even need to.
It had to be terrifying because you alluded to like the slab. Did I damage the slab next door? Like all those things could have happened.
Yes.
And then you're like, from here on out, I earn the right to be the damn questioner, you know.
Absolutely. And you challenge everything that when someone introduces something new to you, you say, oh, okay, not in a defensive mode, although I'm good at that too. So I have to really check myself. And it's, you know, to be defensive means it's not going to be helpful to you. So going back to having a soft curiosity, and this is where I think a woman can kill it in construction, just using the way you are. You don't have to be a ball buster. You know, you can just say, I wonder why I should use that. Isn't there a better way to do that? Yeah. Or, you know, cater to the male ego. And I sound very sexist when I'm saying that, but since there's so many men in the industry, it's cater to their expertise. And I, even as a woman, cater to that person who's challenging you's expertise. So you end up on the same side as them and not adversarial. And so I think that really is key in any business, 100%. But particularly construction, when you're hiring contractors.
Yeah, what a valuable lesson. And it comes through very clearly in that book. So another reason to read the book. What are you focused on now? Just kind of pivoting to we met through real estate investing. What specifically are you doing in the real estate investing world? And what percentage of your time roughly versus being a GC? Or are you kind of done with the GC, or like, what are you up to now?
So for about 30 years, maybe 28 years, I did custom homes. I'm talking anywhere from 4,000 to 12,000 square foot homes for other people. And that was my bread and butter. I loved it. I hung there forever and ever and ever. It was low risk because my contract was like I added a commission onto what cost plus it's called, instead of taking the whole, bidding the whole contract out. Mm-hmm. So I did that for 30 years, made some incredible friends, had some incredible experiences, really luxury build. Cut my teeth on that. So anything short of anything else seemed like a piece of cake. So about 10 years ago, I started doing remodeling and flips. For some people, yes, still custom. But then I started to realize, holy cow, at 50 years old, I had to write the IRS $1 million check. Between John and I, right? Between what he was doing in tech and my business, I had to physically write out. It made me so ill. I thought I was going to die. I mean, this was like, what the What am
Yeah.
I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I working so hard? Yes, I had an incredible lifestyle. The big house, the European vacations, the trips to Napa, $10,000 wine purchases every time I went on a weekend there. I mean, it was phenomenal, but it wasn't fulfilling. There was something missing.
Mm.
And so putting my kids through college, getting kind of that phase past me allowed me to, at 50, I finally paid attention. After writing that check, I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing something wrong. I'm making lots and lots, millions of dollars for other people, and I was paid for that. But I'm not keeping anything. I'm not formulating my retirement plan. And I think it really shocked me. And it really is tough on a partner that doesn't agree with real estate, for all those women out there that are, don't have partners that are 100% on board with you. That's tough. And so it took me a long time. I was 50 when I purchased my first rental property. And it was right after, it was about 2008, right after the great
Crash.
fall
Yeah.
crash. Yeah. So that was my first one. I still have it. It's been an incredible tool. I've used it over and over and over again. I've had it for so long. I've pulled out about close to $500,000 out of that, and it's seed funded me on all the other things I've been doing. Mostly small multifamily on the coast, or near the coast.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I think is super important, and I think there's a little bit of a misnomer in the investment industry, thinking you're supposed to pick one method. And there's either a technique that you follow, like for instance, the Pace Morby method, where you're looking all over the country for different kinds of opportunities with buying. Oh my gosh, I forgot his
Sub two.
buying on contract and sub two, right?
Gator. Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. That's an example of techniques that you're following. Or you can niche way down. And I chose to niche way down because I don't like to fly all over the country and travel in that way. And so I like to stay focused. I'm near my family, my grandkids, and all that. So that really works for me. So I think somebody really just needs to pay attention. What is their vertical, or what is it that they're doing? Is it more technique driven, or is it more niche driven in a location? And so I think that there's room for both, but you can't be, I mean, you have to pick it when you're first starting for sure, and niche way down into that. The different techniques and different styles of buying will come later. I think the niche is first. That's just
So when you say niche, you mean the geographic niche?
Yes, I do. Like for
Okay.
instance, I buy and remodel and value add in one zip code.
Wow.
One zip code. In one zip code keeps me busy.
You're an expert on that zip code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's where people can make lots of money. Now you're different. You tell me, maybe you can tell your audience or
This
remind
isn't
me.
about me. And
Yeah.
I will. This could be hopefully helpful. I mean, I'll let you finish your question to me.
Sure. No, go ahead.
I'm in 6 different markets, 9 properties, 6 different markets, 12 doors. I'm spread. I have to, which means I have to have a team for each market, and that's quadrupling my work, even and I'm not an expert on I go as far east as Nashville, as far west as Boise. I did it because I saw Dad and Deli. I mean, we love Dave Meyer and Bigger Pockets, and he had like the top 20. This is in 2020, top 20 places to invest for cash flow and diversify. And that's what I did. I diversified. I went Texas, I went Nashville, I went Boise, Arizona. But the truth is, I want to go a mile deep in a market. I'm moving towards that right now. And that's what I would tell other people. And I know talking to some other, like Dina, like go a mile deep. I think
Yeah.
Mindy McAllister teaches that. I agree with that. And that would be my teaching other people. I know why I did what I did, but I think it's time to pivot to
I think you
become an
became the
expert.
expert. You became the expert at mobility, and you became the expert at getting to know the people in that environment. And what happens though is you said it, your team becomes watered down. You don't have that deep relationships. And I
No.
wanted to touch on this. I don't know if that was part of something you wanted to talk about, but those deep relationships are where you find champions. Those deep relationships
Yeah.
in the trades are where you get a guy to come back, even though he's really busy with somebody else. He comes back to your job site or your project because he has a good relationship with you. You've developed that. You pay on time, but only when the work is done.
Well, the
So,
excellent segue. That's what I want to talk about. I know so many people who um, have a hard time getting a good contractor. I know you're one of them. Like, and you wrote secrets that the contractor doesn't want you to know in your book. They don't need your business. And I know many women who they've felt that they've been kind of ghosted because I don't know if somebody with deeper pockets came along, they were annoying, whatever it was, they didn't retain the contractor they wanted. So how can these women get that dream contractor? How can they attract them? I mean, what are you looking for? Because you're a contractor in a client.
yeah. So here's, I'm probably going to, I'll touch on a couple things. Women in general, they talk higher voice. Okay. Men don't, it's so basic. Men like it, what I think what they hear with women's higher pitch voice way up here is take advantage of me
Mm.
or don't take me serious. Now, those aren't right, of course not, but that's in my experience, that's what happens. So when I'm interviewing someone, like I have a couple homes in Henderson, Nevada, and I needed one renovated. So what I decided to do is I put on my contractor hat or investor hat, and I slowed the pace down when I'm talking. This is like a linguistics almost, but when you're talking to them, you have to slow the pace down. Short sentences. I know that sounds degrading, but I think most people can understand better
Yeah.
in short sentences. And then not a lot of backstory. Forget the backstory, ladies. I'm guilty all the time. I'm like, well, the reason I
I'm
want this,
taking notes. I'm taking copious notes. This is
yeah, the
great.
reason I want this is because my aunt's friend, she said the wallpaper looked
Who
great. And
cares?
the contractors don't give a flying, they don't care at all. They don't care whatsoever. They want to know, come on, lady, what paint color do you want? And so I've learned to be distinct, to be only talk about two choices or three choices. If you want someone's opinion, they don't care. They would paint the house purple, if you get paid them for it.
So don't say, what do you think? Is that what you mean? Like,
I don't say that unless it's a like a mechanical issue.
okay.
I say things like, not what do you think? What would be the way that you do this if I wasn't around? How would
Ooh,
you do
love
this?
it. Love it.
In other words, give me what you think how it should be done. Doesn't mean you're going to do it that way. It just means you need to pick their brain about what their expertise is on that in that moment. And then like with painters, it's typically, well, what color do you like? Men and women, each one of us sees color differently through our eyes. They see it differently. Like you could put a gray and a black or gray and dark gray next to each other. And, it makes no sense to some people. They would pick the opposite of another person. If you said, give me the darkest gray on the wall, it's kind of bizarre that way. Our eyes see things differently. So it doesn't make any sense to ask a painter what color what do you think? It doesn't matter to him.
Yeah. So good. Such great tips. Yeah, I hope this helps our listeners because I honestly, like so many people, the guy won't call me back. He came once. it's like he doesn't want their business, and
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
they talked
Oh,
in a
and
high pitch.
here's something that I wanted to mention. Don't hire the most expensive or the least expensive. Get 3 bids always. And, everywhere they're talking about renovation, they're always talking about 3 bids. I still do that to this day to check the guys that I work with all the time. I still do that. And you'd be surprised how lazy they can be. And they just throw out a number. They text you like as if it's a contract. Yeah, it's about $20,000 for that drywall job. Well, put it in writing, and then you see the detail, and then you get another bid on it. And just to make sure that they're not getting over crazy with their numbers and lazy, and they're, been with you for so long. So I forgot where we were. What were we talking about?
Well, how about if we talk about this quote and what you do specifically and your niche, which I think is so helpful. Right now, the average house in the United States is in the 400s, almost approaching 500. It's hard to find a cash flowing property right now. It just is, unless you buy it in cash or put a lot down. And for our listeners, a lot of people, that might not be possible for them. That's what makes value add with what they currently have so enticing to me and so applicable for whether it's an ADU, a granny flat, whatever. So talk about value add and then making the distinction between a renovation and a value add.
Okay. Well, value add is the fastest way to your financial freedom. If you're going
Let's do it.
Yeah.
What is it?
If you're going to keep your properties, if you're a flipper, that's not really investing. It's a technique to create more cash. So let's talk about value add. Value add is adding square footage, adding chargeable space, adding an extra bathroom because you feel as if this house would attract larger groups of people on your Airbnb or, midterm rental so that you can get a higher dollar amount. Adding permittable spaces, or taking a dining room and adding that as a bedroom and adding the closet. But if you're talking about just remodeling, that's just remodeling, and it might make a house sexier and it might make it more appealing. There's a whole trend on Instagram, like wild fun colors, as crazy as you can be for some of these Airbnb experiences. Fabulous. But that's not value add. You might perceive it as a valuable addition to your Airbnb, but technically, if you're going by the definition that I live by, it's creating new permittable spaces where, for instance, if you go to 1031 that title report's going to say, yes, you do have 3 bedrooms and 3 baths now. Or yes, you did do a room addition. Those are substantial things that will increase and force equity. And I think that's what we're talking about here specifically, is forcing the equity. So you've just created, so here's how I say it. For every $50,000 you spend on a value add, you probably, this is very loose, but your ARV, your after renovation value, will double what you put in. So in other words, you put in 50, you'll get 100 back. You put in 75, you'll get 150 back.
Whether that's an ADU, a bathroom, it doesn't matter, in your opinion.
Pretty much, it's a loose definition, Ellen. And, I don't want people to quote me on that like it's the Bible, but, in reality, of all of the projects that I've done, that's what I've seen. Now, I'm a little bit biased because it's Southern California, but I do believe anywhere in the country you can find this to be true. The percentage might be a little less, but you're in terms of, you may not double. It might be 30 or 40% greater. So you put in 25,000 on a room addition in Arkansas, you're probably going to get $50,000 in value back.
Yeah. I heard loud and clear in your book, this might be helpful to the listeners. Permitting, it's a hassle, but you want it permitted. Yeah. You want it to count, because when you go to sell that house, it's on the record. So You want it permitted and you want to control the purse strings. Can you talk about the purse strings and sort of staggering payment? I learned the hard way with a bathroom I had put in and it got really heated. So I wish I had read your book and known this. So talk about controlling the purse strings.
So I was, I think it's just a little funny saying, power's in the purse, right? The power is in your, as a woman, as a female real estate investor that happens to be a general contractor, I control the money. That means I control the project. That means you, Ellen, have the control when you go to hire somebody, because I think it's really easy to think, oh, well, they won't call me back. But you have to realize that they are working for a living and they will appreciate you being the boss. They're looking for someone to control the job site. They're looking for those deadlines. They're looking for that. But in return, you control the purse. In other words, don't ever pay anybody in advance for labor. Never. Never, 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 never pay them in advance for labor. I don't care if you're rushed, don't do it. I don't care if you're in Tennessee or Nashville, Alan, and you got to fly out tomorrow and you want the guy to keep coming. Because yes, us ladies, we think, oh, he's not going to come back, or oh, he's not going to like us, or oh, he's just, he's going to blow me off. Well, he's using intimidation practices. You be the businesswoman and say, hey, look, I appreciate that you want a deposit, but I never pay labor in advance. Now, if you want materials, you go to Home Depot and here's, I will pay for your materials when you get in line and call me. Cashiers will call them now. Call folks now, the owners.
Get the credit card. Yep, I've had that happen.
You don't need to give them a card. You don't need to do anything, especially if you're registered as a pro. So you can register your card as a pro at Home Depot, and then your dudes can get in line, and then the pro cashier will call you and you give them the credit card. You keep control. You don't give them cash for materials. What makes you think they're going to use it on materials? Right? And my thinking is, if they can't even get $1,000 of materials in, pay for it themselves, that contract's worth nothing.
It's a red flag.
It's a red flag. Yeah. It's a red flag. If they're not really in business, they're, I do understand, hand to mouth all the time. And usually if they're green and they're starting a new business, they tell me that up front. But if a guy can't spring for $500, $1,000 himself, I'm not sure he's the guy.
Yeah. So then you would give draws for the materials, and then once the project's done, you pay for the labor? That's the last.
So first of all, you got a contract, and he says, okay, $5,000 to, let's say $4,000 to redo this shower, the whole tile, demo, waterproof, float it, and then put new tile in, right? And he says, oh, well, I need $1,000 up front. And I said, oh, well, where's your contract? Do you have a contractor's license? That's the first thing I ask, because they're not allowed, they're not supposed to ask for anything. They can't even act as a contractor without their license number. Now, this is in the state of California, but and it does vary everywhere, but they're not supposed to ask for any more than 10%. They could ask for $500 with a contract, with a license, and then you're going to ask them if they have insurance and all those kind of good things. But they cannot, it's a fast-paced world. It is, this value add stuff. And so you got to act really fast, but it doesn't mean you should skip on getting a contract from them, especially on paper, not a text-a-mit. Nobody's texting you their contract,
Text-a-mit.
They'll write in there, okay, it's $5,000. When can I start? I'm like, okay, sure. As soon as you give me the contract and let me know, send me a W-9 and send me your insurance.
Right.
Wow. Let's get started. I'm anxious to get you started.
Yeah. Wow, I could talk to you all day about this. I know you're probably off to climb a mountain.
I'm rambling.
No, this is great. I am just so grateful that you're going to be speaking at our Boundless event, May 1st to the 4th. There's so many more questions I want to ask, and I know our listeners are going to want to ask. So I just want to thank you again for being on today, and then your willingness to come up the coast and hang with us in Ojai. It's going to be amazing. And
I love
I don't
it.
know
I love
about
it.
you, but like a $50,000 ad, learning how to do that to double my ARV, who wouldn't want to learn more about that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just think it's such an incredible
Got to
opportunity.
get comfortable with contractors because
Yeah.
that's your key to wealth. That's your key to value add. That's your key to financial freedom. And Ellen, you're amazing. Thank you so much for
Right
having
back at
me.
you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day and keep on being you. You're such
And
an
oh, by the way,
inspiration.
your followers can follow me on at Woman Builder Dawn,
And how could they find
WOMANBUILDER.com.
you if they want to? You do consulting as well. How would
I
they?
do. I do. Yeah. Yeah.
So womenbuilder.com.
Mostly on Instagram
Do
at
it that way.
Builder
Okay.
Dawn, at Woman Builder Dawn. On Instagram, you can DM me. And then I do have a website, www.womanbuilder.com.
Follow her. She's super inspiring. And
Yeah, come get the book.
get the book. Get the book. It's amazing. I
Thanks,
underlined it.
Ellen.
I would lend it to you, but I own it because I underline everything. So, fine. All right.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. You're
Great.
welcome.
Great to talk. Take care. Bye-bye.